Among the substantial changes in the delivery of medicine over the past couple of decades at least, two parallel developments are particularly noticeable: clinical registries and quality measurement in cardiovascular disease. So there is a new clinical document out. It is the ACC AHA STS statement on the future of registries and the performance measurement enterprise. And for our purposes here, it is important that you know that Dr. Paul Heidenreich, who is with me here, is chair of the ACC AHA Task Force on Performance Measures and a writing committee member for this development. And then you were also a professor of medicine at Stanford and vice chair for quality in the Department of Medicine over there. This is an official statement of this organization and a variety of others. Why was it time for this statement?
Well, there's increasing interest in quality measurement. And we felt that registries and performance measures are intertwined. There's no way we can probably look at quality without having registry data. And all these organizations have had registries for a long time, a lot for research, but also for quality. And going forward, we realized we can use them to great extent for quality improvement.
You've talked about the penetration of clinical practice by electronic health records, and this has increased rapidly. Some people believe that EHR data will ultimately replace registries as the premier sources of clinical information in real-world settings. However, you point out that's not the case. So in our thought process, keep this all straight.
Yeah, so maybe someday EHRs can do it. We're a long way from there, and the differences now are that registries, one, do a process of auditing, of quality checking of the data. There's a lot of standard definitions that go into registries, so that at the end, when you have all this data together, you're confident that what you have is correct and that all the data you got from all the hospitals means the same thing.
Right.
Currently, if one were just to somehow append all the electronic health records from all the different systems, it wouldn't make any sense. It'd be very difficult to get data out of that. So someday we'll be there, but it's a long way off.
So what do we need to do right now to better leverage clinical registries? I mean, I take it that's one of the topics that you're covering in this particular paper?
Yes, and how these can be used. So one is we need, I think, more involvement in registries by hospitals, and CMS is actually pushing hospitals and providing incentives to do that. You can have a qualified data registry for physicians to report their quality data now to satisfy some CMS requirements. So we need more of that data. We need to have it be more easily obtainable from the electronic records into the registries. So in the past, the main barrier was some type of person having to go through by hand and checking boxes or entering data into a registry form. That's just not sustainable and can't be used for a large number of patients. So we need to make those digital interfaces so that the data can be taken from the EHRs and brought into registries.
Now, when registries first became popular, there was some hesitancy, shall we say, politely, on the parts of some people because they just didn't want to share their data and they were afraid it was going to get public and it was going to be used against them. Has any of that changed?
I think it has. One thing is CMS has sort of forced the issue and said, guess what, you have to give it, if you want to be paid, your data is going to be out there in some degree. So I think that was one large effect that got hospitals saying, all right, it's okay. And I think there's now been a long history of the organizations showing that they can take this data and keep it secure. We haven't had, at least to my knowledge, any data loss where suddenly the data appeared on the web. So I think both those things have made hospitals comfortable with the registry idea.
So what are the challenges and barriers that you talk about to better integration of registries and performance measure development?
Yes, I think we just need more knowledge about how we can use these registries. I think, and we need sort of better data basically in the registries to match the performance measures. So typically, performance measures will follow a guideline that says this is the best way to treat, and the performance measure will say, okay, here should be the denominator, and here's the numerator, and this is how we'll measure you as a provider. And then now you see, well, where does that data exist? And in some cases, it's in the registry, and that's great. We can test it and evaluate with the registry. In others, it's not. And I think that's our main limitation right now is the registries have data. They're not exactly aligned with the performance measures. As we develop new new data fields within those registries, we're trying to make sure they will be aligned.
And you're the chair of the ACC AHA Task Force on Performance Measures, so you're the one who tries to figure out how to get all this, everybody to play together?
We all help out. I think we're all interested in the same goal. And it's not, in fact, just us. While we develop measures for the ACC and AHA, right. We actually then will submit some of these measures to the National Quality Forum, which a lot of organizations require before they use them. So we have to play with the larger group as well.
Yes, absolutely. So what did the committee come up with when they were asked to envision the future state of registries?
Well, I think it will be where the data comes electronically from the health system. We have processes in place that keep it accurate, standardized across facilities, that data is then pulled into a central location where we have clinical experts overseeing that. AHA would probably take a significant role in that. And that the data that is abstracted directly allows us measurement of performance, allows us to measure gaps, measure disparities, and ultimately actually provides some potential feedback to the physicians and the hospitals about how to improve.
Well, one of the conclusions you made in the statement is that in the coming years, registries will be able to influence care profoundly. And that's really where we're heading, right?
Yes. Well, we want through the registry to be able to measure performance, show which places are doing it well, which ones aren't, potentially then learn from those places, but also the registry, there could ideally be a direct feedback to the hospital where they will find, the provider will know or the hospital will know that they are doing well or poorly on certain things. And currently I'd say the registries already do provide feedback to hospitals, but this could be in a more real-time manner. It could be automated. In fact, even at the time of the clinic visit, one could imagine someone's entering in things and then before they leave that encounter with the medical record, it somehow reminds them that, oh, this patient also might be a candidate for this other treatment. So ultimately, it could have that impact.
And the growth of the NCDR, the various registries that make that up, has been impressive. I mean, over the last few years, that really has, I think, made a difference. And more people, I think, feel comfortable sharing data with the NCDR registries.
Yes, I agree with that. And also as well on the AHA side, to get with the guideline registries.
Absolutely.
Both, I think, both the hospitals have been very engaged and I think are very comfortable. I think these are the leading registries along with the STS for cardiovascular disease in the world.
Right. Now, the one thing I didn't mention at the very top of this is that this has been online before print, but this particular statement is going to be in the JAC lineup in November 17th, combined November 17th, November 24th issue. So please do look for that. For CardioSource World News, where I'm Executive Editor Rick McGuire.